PSG are just one game away from winning their first treble. Luis Enrique's side won the Ligue 1 title and lifted the Coupe de France title, and they also won the Trophy de Champion. They're just waiting to be able to say that they're Champions League champions as well. Here's a look at the recent UCL treble winners, Manchester City being the most recent back in 2022, 2023, Bayern Munich, Barcelona.
Barcelona under Luis Enrique, by the way.
Inter Milan. Yeah, absolutely incredible if they'd be able to add themselves onto that list as well. All right, well, let's take a look at what L'Équipe had to say, Nico.
Roi de France, Kings of France.
Kings of France, indeed, guys. They're dominating France so much that the league is reportedly now deciding that they might do a little playoff system to determine the winner of the league, because maybe PSG are just dominating way too much, Lahoud. I mean, so the playoff system would be when the regular season is done, whoever finishes first plays against fourth place, and then second place finishes third, and then they go on to determine the winner. What do you think how would that turn this league? Well, what would that do, that facelift?
Look, I usually want to jump on a Ligue 1 grenade, but there's someone at this desk. You put out a video that I thought was really interesting about this, Nico, and it was the first time I heard about it, piquing my interest. So, what are your thoughts on it?
It's very clear that Ligue 1, French football, needs some sort of reform. The Women's League actually does it already in France. I'm not sure if the playoff format is decided already. I don't think it's been absolutely green light. So this is all based off of reports that L'Équipe has done. But without a doubt, there's been a whole restructuring almost from an organizational standpoint, from an ownership standpoint. They're going to go after the Premier League model a little bit more, where the clubs have more power over the league itself. So clearly there's issues in France. I welcome a playoff, although I am such a traditionalist and a purist that it's almost annoying because I feel like an old man every time these issues arise. But it feels like French football really needs this to inject excitement, because it feels like often the conversation is PSG winning everything, and every so often you get like a stray, like a Monaco, a Lille.
Yeah.
But only every so often.
Yeah, look, just to give some data to back this up. So PSG have won 3 trophies, right? The kings of the domestic league, in 8 of the last 7 seasons. 3 trophies.
I feel like 11 of the last 13, something like that also.
Mind-blowing, right? So the big thing that I think deters a lot of people from Ligue 1 is everyone calls it the Farmers League. They've been that dominant. When you look at the gaps outside of the times that your Monacos or Lilles have won, when PSG wins, it's a 12-point minimum gap.
Right.
So they've been that dominant. I love Ligue 1, and just being from a French, British, African colony, that's what got me into it. Having friends that are from France. But I think what is so desperate for Ligue 1 is starved of revenue. Big clubs like Bordeaux, Lyon, they're in the gutter right now.
Yeah.
So they need something like this playoff. They need competition. They need PSG to get knocked off their perch. Think of how many people were more interested in Ligue 1 when Lille won. When Monaco with Kylian Mbappe and Radamel Falcao won.
Even then and there, I think they were so deep into their issues. Like, take it back 10 years. Lyon had won 7 Ligue 1s in a row. And I'm speaking about it maybe from perspective abroad, because, even within France, seemingly there's issues about people wanting to watch the league and the TV rights and whatnot. But just from an interest perspective and piquing interest, PSG Nice, right? 1 versus 4. That game in May, if that game would have been May 1st or whatever, the beginning of this month, you wouldn't have watched it. It would have been top of your priority list because PSG would have already run away with the league, right? Mm-hmm. But if I tell you there's a PSG Nice where everything is on the line, the title's on the line, I guarantee you more than 0 of us would tune into that game.
Absolutely. The problem there is, I think that this is now a global football problem. Everybody's looking for their market share to increase fan participation. And you certainly don't do it with this level of just a lack of parity. It's non-competitive at this point. It's just not interesting. It becomes a dead league mid-season. And you're like, okay, well, do I just want to tune in because I'm following a particular star player. And also, the evidence there that like PSG haven't won a Champions League. So what does improved competition within the domestic league do to help them bolster just sharpen their teeth going into Europe again? I think that it's something that's necessity at this point for Ligue 1.
Yeah. How much has it worked well? Has it worked well on the women's side of things?
I'd say I think that when you look at the women's leagues in Europe, I think what we see there is more congested top and bottom of the table with, deviations in parity. I think that ends up coming to surface, but I think that that's evidence more so of a growing league, a burgeoning interest.
Like Belgium.
Right, exactly that. I'd expect
Austria splits or Greece splits.
Yes,
Greece does,
and I'd expect more and I'd say Ligue 1 is more established in the men's side. And I think that there should have been greater strides made to keep this consistent competition more fiery.
Yeah, it's coming to a point where Ligue 1 is in dire straits. Outside of PSG, I mean, they have government-funded. They have a government-funded club, right? That's what's taken them for a club that were in dire straits before the ownership came in and then injected the cash.
I would go it's beyond government-funded. It's oil state.
The money
in the Middle East funded.
The money grows in the ground, from the ground into the football pitch. But I think that this could be such a leveling of the playing field to have a playoff system, because there's football heritage in France, and these other teams, your Marseille's, a good season for Marseille, is finishing second and getting automatic Champions League now. I mean, you look at so many of the French clubs that have been part of the foundation, building the foundation of French football. Now they're struggling just to stay alive. So Liga needs money, and to get TV money, where the TV rights are up for grabs just about every other year, they're going to be up for grabs yet again, just about. You need this to keep the entertainment value. And here in the States, this is the last frontier where Liga is trying to get the audience captured. Americans and people in North America, we love a playoff system. We love a win or go home. We love the Cinderella story. So this is talking our language.
Yeah, definitely. You think PSG would like this, Nico?
Absolutely not. But
everybody else would.
It's kind of their fault.
You brought this upon yourself.
You were so good. We had to bring you down institutionally somehow.
Make it look harder, damn.
Well, PSG are looking for the treble this weekend when they take on Inter Milan in the Champions League Final this Saturday, 3 p.m. Coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.